Peace, chiefs, and deers. It's Bronzebird here with another video. Before I begin, like and subscribe. Thank you. So, I was doing some inventory, of course, again, and I just found it completely hilarious that I had to watch news this week of a so-called black woman by the name of Jessica Beauvais, I believe her name is, get into a situation with police officers that wind up her being found on multiple charges because she pinned down a police officer in Queens. And what happened before that was she was on a podcast, and basically her whole entire narrative was fuck the police, which is a lot of the things these people say. But in real life, you know, once it comes to certain situations, number one, they actually need officers, or to the extreme, such as this situation, they actually change up exactly what they're saying. Because usually a lot of people just regurgitate things that they don't really mean. They say shit that they don't really mean, and they want to appear like they're alpha dog and all these different things, but let it be a modest situation and they'll switch up. But I just found it completely ironic. And, you know, it goes along with my last video that was about the Wokeism Chronicles, in which I believe a lot of people that get into this whole entire woke shit or feel as if they should get into this whole entire conversation about being against the patriarchal government or whatever it is called, quote unquote, you know, a lot of them just talk a lot of hot air, and, you know, they talk a lot of mess, but let them get into a situation, they switch up. This is the reason why people need to know what they're talking about, and sometimes they need to understand exactly what they're saying before they say things, because that whole entire energy that you let out, imagine if it happens, such as this situation. Will you have the same attitude and say F the police or fuck the police as this woman mentioned, or will you change up just like she did? It's all about energy, man. So otherwise, now I'm gonna play the video and make some commentary on it while I play, so peep.
Mowing down a police officer while driving drunk.
I'm sorry.
What are you sorry for?
I'm sorry that I said everything you said.
Now you see that? Because she caused somebody's life, now she wants to switch up and apologize. It wasn't like that when she was on that podcast. Y'all know this. I don't really need to mention it, but this is just a fun lesson for people that go along with this whole entire wokeism nonsense, and they feel as if they feel good for saying things like fuck the police, sitting up there trying to degrade a whole entire group of people because that's their profession. Stupid.
Now look at this. It's the same woman just hours earlier as she live streams a podcast in which she appears to be drinking shots and washes it down with Snapple. She ends the podcast this way.
The police. Where were you coming?
And with that, all I usually think about that when people say that, keep that same energy now. Keep that same energy. You should have sat up there and was in that car. It was like, damn, I did it. But you know what? I did say that, and blah, blah, blah. Don't switch up. Say exactly what you mean.
The dead officer, Anastasio Sakos, was directing traffic at an accident scene on the Long Island Expressway when Jessica Beauvais allegedly plowed into him at around 2 a.m. Cops say the woman with her front windshield shattered fled the scene, sending other cops diving out of her way. When they chased her down, they say she threw her car into reverse and rammed a police car before they could take her into custody. The 32-year-old suspect allegedly told cops she smoked marijuana before she got into her car. 43-year-old Sakos leaves a wife and 2 children. He was a beloved figure in his neighborhood.
Heartbroken.
Yes.
At his daily briefing, Mayor Bill de Blasio called for a moment of silence.
It was heartbreaking.
What do you want to say to the officer's family?
And let that be a lesson. A lot of people just say things that they don't really mean. They say things in the heat of the moment, or they seem like they're cool. They give into this whole entire peer pressure of trying to be Miss or Mr. Alpha Dog because they say certain things because other people are saying it. I do find it ironic that a lot of the times people regurgitate a lot of information and statements to make it seem as if they're tough and they're all these different things. But let them get into a situation like this and watch their opinions change. That's what happened with this girl. So, last thing before I end this video, because I find it completely hilarious, and because this woman now has multiple charges to her name based upon this situation. Let's just read this article so we can get a better perspective of how much a moron this woman is for doing exactly what she did and saying exactly what she said. All I'm saying to people is keep the same energy. If you say some stuff like that, have the same entire energy and notice the situations you're getting into. Obviously, you know not to be drunk driving. Obviously, you know not to be under the influence before you do something such as drive on the road. You know that. This doesn't need to be said, but obviously certain people just don't get it. So let's read this article together, shall we? So, woman charged in death of NYPD officer said, F the police on video hours before the incident, or before incident. Yeah, exactly. Jessica Beauvais, 32, of Hempstead, New York, was arrested Tuesday on charges of vehicular manslaughter, suspended license, and intoxicated driving. So besides the vehicular manslaughter, she already had two prior situations or two things. Well, at least that one, the suspended license. Goddamn, driving on the road with a suspended license? Oh yeah, you're done for, fam. Okay. A suspected drunken driver accused of hitting and killing a New York City police officer streamed a video just hours prior saying, F the police. Jessica Beauvais, 32, of Hempstead, New York, was arrested Tuesday on charges of vehicular manslaughter, suspended license, and intoxicated driving, according to NBC New York. She's accused of striking highway officer Anastasios Sakos earlier that morning as he was directing traffic following a fatal car crash in Queens. So that's ironic that it was already a fatal car crash and he was trying to direct the traffic, and then he gets killed, another fatal accident within that same time period. It's crazy. Sakos, 43, was taken to New York Presbyterian Queens Hospital in critical condition, where he later died from his injuries. The nearly 2-hour-long Facebook Live was streamed Monday night. In it, the woman identifies herself as Phoenix, but law enforcement sources confirmed to NBC News that it was Beauvais. She began the video by playing NWA song F the Police and then vented about officers attempting to justify killing someone by saying they were afraid and felt threatened. If you said that you were signing up for this dangerous job, right? And part of that dangerous job is that you are not supposed to be afraid, because part of that job is that people might try and effing kill you. That's what you're signing up for, is potential death, she said. That's what you signed up for. Beauvais also talked about the trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin and expressed frustrations about the case. Chauvin was convicted last week in George Floyd's death. And let me say this, people. I actually can understand that whole entire pro-wokeness. One of my videos actually talked about that, where I used to be on that whole entire liberalism wave, or, be involved with protests a lot and try to, say F the police as well, or police are pigs and this, that, and the third. And because I've actually dealt with situations where police officers would, try to, ask me for my ID and all these different things. Now, if you remember living in New York, you remember back in 2005, they had the stop and frisk policy. And yes, it was mainly targeted, in my opinion, towards so-called Black men and so-called Latino men. Now, the thing about it is this. I've had this conversation many times. My thing is this. Police officers are signing up to put their life on the line to protect people every day. Okay, they are. Now, at the same time, what I don't understand about these woke people out here who have all these other things out here to say about police officers and F the police, merely if it's that much that you're going to say F the police or say things like defund the police, are you willing to put your life on the line to be a community organizer, to be someone who's going to go ahead and regulate the crimes that's happening in your area, in your neighborhood? Why can't you differentiate the uniform from the person? That's the problem with a lot of these people. Police officers are people. I hope y'all know that. You know, to the people out there that feel as if it's their duty to make people look like shit. Police officers are nothing more but a career. Yes, we understand there is corruption that happens in the police force. I'm not saying that it doesn't. But at the same time, I just find it very ironic that certain people want to put on this hat like they're alpha dog and that they make it seem as if they're big badass because they go on streams or they go on podcasts or they go on any medium on social media and spread this awareness of trying to say, fuck the police, or the police is this and the police is that. Y'all people ain't about shit. A lot of y'all just talk a lot of hot air. And if it really came to situations such as this one, you would switch up just like this woman did because you would feel sorry for what you said. So think about that. Next time you say things out your mouth, be careful for what you say. Peace.